Good day. My name is Tom Crane of Crane Consulting. I'd like to spend a few minutes sharing with you the kind of work I do with organizations who are serious about creating a coaching culture. I have a book that was written about 20 years ago called The Heart of Coaching, which is a way for leaders and teams to learn how to organize and conduct coaching conversations that focus on performance in the workplace, and they do it in such a way as people find the feedback hearable, they find it helpful, and they're able to actually make positive changes. Let me share with you how this work is focused and how it helps organizations. The key to performance is not the business strategy. Every organization has a strategy. It's not necessarily how it's organized, its structure, because every organization has a structure. The key to performance is how the culture operates, how efficient, how effective it is, how engaged in executing the strategy it happens to be. But the culture is the source of focus. It's the source of people's energy. It is where people find energy and passion and the will to do great work. It's usually guided by core values that are really people-centric. They're focused on helping people become the best individuals and people and supporters to the business that they can be. It's therefore really a leading indicator of performance. If you want to improve the performance of the organization, work on the culture. Shifting and changing and enhancing the culture is clearly the way to make things better for everybody. The last thing I guess I'd say about that is that a culture is also a source of competitive advantage. Two organizations doing in the same business, doing the same kinds of things, the one that has the stronger culture that's more cohesive and more aligned, that culture outperforms the one that's not so much. The key things I've learned about feedback in the 30-some years I've been doing this kind of work and studying it, I really consider myself a student of the process of giving and receiving feedback, i.e. acting as a coach. Some of the principles that are really important here is that the feedback, to be helpful and to be purposeful, really needs to become actionable. The better actionable, the more actionable the feedback becomes, which means it's timely, it's specific, it's intended with a positive intention and energy behind it. It really helps people take the information in, find some way to use it so they absolutely improve their performance. So actionable feedback is key. Another one of the key basics about this is coaching truly is not incremental work. It's not like another thing to do to your to-do list. It is how you show up and how you interact. When leaders can really embed the idea of what it means to be a coach and they show up as a coach, they think that way, they also show up coachable, willing to receive feedback and respond to it, then they model the way for the entire culture. So the idea is these key things make feedback alive and vibrant and actually helps the organization get better. One more key thing I think that's really worthy of noting is the idea that people in a culture don't coach because they're trained to coach. They coach others and embody this whole philosophy and skill set because they are coached. They have a manager or colleagues around them that are able to give and receive feedback with them. So you learn how to become coachable. And when you've got a leader who is an effective coach for you, you really understand the power of it. You have a very direct experience of what it means to be coached, and you're far more apt to go ahead and share that skill with others in the organization, those that you have the privilege of leading. So the toolkit that we've developed is pretty systematic and pretty comprehensive. What it consists of is a core loop, kind of the transformational coaching model, which is a roadmap for how people can consider organizing and conducting coaching conversations where they work with a direct report, someone they have the privilege of leading. They could act as a coach with a peer, so it's peer-to-peer coaching back and forth, sharing feedback, or it's coaching up to your manager. So the idea in a true coaching culture, feedback and coaching flows in all three directions. It goes up and down and sideways. It's that safe a place, it's that helpful a place. People learn to really value the power of feedback, and they use it in their conversations on an ongoing basis. So there's the main toolkit. The other toolkit that goes along with that is what we call the human results cycle. What this does is organize into a simple template the way people go about achieving results. It suggests this. People's beliefs, my assumptions, the way I think, my thought processes, including what goes on inside of me internally, my feelings, my belief system is what drives my behavior. It causes me to do and say what I do and say. So the impact it has on behaviors, it's a cause and effect. Then whatever I do and say as a behavior has a direct impact upon all my working relationships. Well, that in turn relates to or causes an impact upon the results I get. So the whole cycle is my beliefs determine my behaviors, which impact my working relationships, which lead to my results. So that whole cycle we call the human results cycle. It's a way to, when we explore that, make our feedback specific and clear for people with whom we work. The third tool that is a piece of this is what we call positive accountability. It's when we take the idea of this cause and effect cycle and turn it into something that is positive and inspirational, perhaps motivational. The idea is this: when we have people consider from their belief to their action, we ask them to become more reflective and then choose deliberately. So to be at choice and respond rather than be quite so reactive. So we have people make conscious choices. Then the impact between my behaviors and actions and the effect I have on colleagues, I want people to be able to own that and to accept the fact that whatever I do and say is going to impact my colleagues for sure. Next step is, if I get work done through, with, and by people, the idea is to absolutely own my own results, so that whatever I'm doing and saying and the relationships I create has a direct impact upon the kinds of results that one would own. If you're going to be accountable, you're not in denial, you're in ownership. This is mine. I am accountable for the results I create. Then the last connected step between the results I achieve and the kind of beliefs I have, the initial beliefs, we want people to become reflective so they're able to consider, what is it I learned? How can I even shift my thinking, shift my behaviors, maybe even enhance results? So to become reflective is to own the entire process of what it means to be a human being. The fourth tool that we have in our toolkit that we share with people is the idea of coaching people through change. We have made an interesting use of the delta symbol, the Greek symbol for change, and have that triangle stand for and help signify the way we coach people through change. One side of this triangle, the left-leaning side as you look at it, would be the plus. What do I add, start, or enhance in terms of my behavior to get better results? So one side is what I add. The other side, you guessed it, it's what I delete. It's what I minimize. It's what I eliminate because it's not helping me anymore. It's getting in the way. The base of the triangle is about those things that I can hold on to or keep doing because they have been successful and they'll help me be successful in the future. So the outcome of using all these tools with colleagues, an entire team, an entire culture, is that it becomes a feedback-rich coaching culture where feedback is standard fare. It's what we use day in and day out, conversation to conversation. It becomes a safe environment where we're expected to and supported to give and receive feedback. The business outcomes of this kind of a culture are dramatic and now substantiated very nicely. Burson and Associates has released research from just a couple of years ago that says there is a huge impact upon the ability of a culture, if it is a coaching culture, to far outperform a non-coaching culture. The research is amazing. The way we deliver this work, we start with a leadership team. This needs to be a leader-led process because we're shifting culture, which means we're affecting attitudes and behaviors and relationships. Who better to do that? Who needs to do that more than leaders? Nobody. So it's a leader-led process, number one. Number two, we tie the outcomes to actual business strategy. So we don't do coaching just to do coaching. We do it to improve the performance vis-a-vis our strategy. The third aspect of the way we do the work is we focus on implementation. What is it that when people go through the workshop, they're going to take out of that as actionable changes in the way they think and the way they behave, the way they interact, and then use those with their colleagues at work. So implementation becomes key. No change in behavior, no change in the culture, no change in performance. The last thing that we have as an element or a feature of the way we deliver the work is that we are focused on measuring the degree to which we have a coaching culture. We assess the outcomes we're creating before the culture change process starts. And then we use our coaching culture assessment to show how things change over time. So it creates a benchmark, and then we measure and assess change. Then the impact on the culture is the culture becomes more nimble, more agile, more creative, more collaborative. We make better decisions. We make faster decisions. We're more efficient. We absolutely deliver more results to our organization, whether we're a not-for-profit or whether a for-profit. It makes no difference. It's still an organization full of people. Well, the key things that Berson's research shows are 3 measurable outcomes. Number 1, we increase market share. We do a better job of serving our customers or clients, so market share goes up. Secondly, we become more efficient and effective in operating our business organization, so we actually are able to reduce operating costs. And the third thing is we absolutely have a bottom line impact in terms of profitability. So it really speaks to the sustainability of our organization, because we're doing everything we can do in this competitive landscape to become more productive, more successful, and thus ensure our sustainable success going forward. Thank you for listening.